Even a fool is thought wise if he remains silent, and discerning if he holds his tongue. Proverbs 17:28. There's a 3,000-year-old secret that the smartest people in history have used to gain respect, avoid destruction, and be perceived as brilliant, even when they don't have all the answers. This ancient wisdom is so counterintuitive that 99% of people do the exact opposite and wonder why they're constantly misunderstood, dismissed, or caught in unnecessary drama. King Solomon discovered this principle by observing human nature, and those who master it are always seen as wise, mysterious, and powerful. Meanwhile, those who ignore this warning reveal their foolishness every time they open their mouths. This isn't about being shy or insecure. This is about strategic wisdom that can transform how people perceive you instantly. What you're about to learn has been tested by millennia and proven in the lives of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and influencers throughout history. The choice is yours. Master this ancient art or continue sabotaging yourself with every word you speak. Proverbs 17:28 declares something absolutely shocking. Even a fool is thought wise if he remains silent, and discerning if he holds his tongue. Solomon is revealing that wisdom isn't about having all the answers, it's about knowing when to keep your mouth shut. The Hebrew word for fool here refers to someone who is naturally imprudent and lacking judgment, yet even this person can appear wise through the simple act of silence. Solomon understood something profound about human psychology. People respect mystery more than exposition, depth more than breadth, and restraint more than revelation. This proverb exposes a fundamental truth about human nature. We assume that those who speak less know more, while those who talk constantly are trying to prove something. The wise person understands that silence creates space for others to project intelligence, competence, and depth onto them, while the fool fills every moment with words and reveals their limitations to everyone around them. Solomon discovered that human beings make instant judgments based on how much someone talks, not necessarily what they say. The person who speaks constantly is perceived as needy, insecure, and desperate for validation, while the person who chooses their words carefully is seen as confident, thoughtful, and in control. This principle works because silence creates mystery, and mystery generates respect and curiosity. When you speak less, people assume you know more than you're revealing. They begin to wonder what profound thoughts are going through your mind, what deep insights you're holding back. Contrast this with the person who shares every thought, opinion, and feeling. They become predictable, exhausting, and eventually ignored. Smart people understand that their reputation is built not on what they say, but on what others imagine they could say, if they chose to. Silence allows others to fill in the blanks with their own assumptions about your wisdom, knowledge, and capabilities, almost always working to your advantage in social situations. The companion verse, Proverbs 10:19, warns, "When words are many, transgression is unavoidable, but whoever restrains his lips is wise." Solomon understood that the more we talk, the more likely we are to say something foolish, offensive, or revealing of our ignorance. Every additional word is a risk. Every extra sentence is an opportunity for others to find fault, disagreement, or reason to dismiss us. The fool thinks that more words equal more impact, but the opposite is true. Smart people know that excess words dilute their message, bore their audience, and give others ammunition to use against them later. Think about how many arguments start because someone said too much. How many relationships are damaged by unnecessary comments? How many opportunities are lost because someone couldn't stop talking? The wise person treats words like precious currency, valuable precisely because they're limited and carefully spent. They understand that saying less makes each word carry more weight, while saying more makes every word less valuable and easily forgotten. Throughout history, the most powerful and respected people have mastered the art of strategic silence. They understand that speaking less makes others listen more carefully when they do speak. Their rare words carry weight because people know they don't waste breath on trivial matters. This creates an aura of depth and mystery that draws people in rather than pushing them away. The wise person becomes like a deep well. People assume there's profound wisdom beneath the surface, even when they can't see the bottom. Meanwhile, the fool is like a shallow puddle. Everything they have is immediately visible and easily dismissed. Smart people use silence to create space for others to talk, reveal themselves, and sometimes even convince themselves of ideas the silent person never had to argue for. They let others fill the silence with their own assumptions, projections, and respect. This is the ancient art of influence through restraint, power through presence, and leadership through listening, rather than lecturing everyone around them constantly. Those who talk constantly pay a heavy price in credibility, respect, and relationships. People begin to tune them out, knowing that most of what they say is unnecessary filler rather than valuable content. Their words lose power because there are too many of them, like currency that becomes worthless through inflation. Others start to see them as insecure, desperate for attention, or lacking in self-awareness and social intelligence. The constant talker reveals their insecurities, limitations, and need for validation with every unnecessary word. They become exhausting to be around because they demand constant attention and response, never allowing others the gift of peaceful silence. Solomon warns that this path leads to transgression, not just social mistakes, but actual sin as gossip. Criticism, boasting, and foolish promises flow from unrestrained lips. The person who can't stop talking eventually says things they regret, makes commitments they can't keep, shares information they shouldn't reveal, and damages relationships through careless words that cut deeper than they intended. God himself demonstrates the power of strategic silence and perfect timing. He doesn't fill every moment with his voice, but speaks at appointed times when his words will have maximum impact. Even Jesus, who had all knowledge and authority, chose his words carefully and often withdrew to quiet places rather than constantly teaching and preaching. The wise person learns to follow this divine pattern, speaking when their words are needed and remaining silent when silence serves better. This requires spiritual maturity to discern the difference between opportunities to add value and moments when words would only create confusion or conflict. Smart people understand that their silence can be more powerful than their speech, creating space for the Holy Spirit to work in ways that human words cannot. They trust that God can accomplish more through their restraint than through their constant commentary. This divine timing makes their eventual words more precious, more welcome, and more effective because people have learned to value what they rarely receive. When you master this ancient principle, your entire social presence transforms. People begin to see you as wise, mature, and worth listening to because you don't waste their time with unnecessary words. Your occasional comments carry more weight because others know you don't speak unless you have something valuable to contribute. You become the person others seek out for advice because they trust your judgment and appreciate your restraint. Instead of being known as someone who talks too much, you become known as someone who listens well and speaks wisely. This shift changes every relationship in your life. Your marriage improves because your spouse feels heard rather than overwhelmed. Your friendships deepen because people feel safe sharing with someone who won't immediately respond with their own stories or unsolicited advice. Your professional relationships flourish because colleagues respect your thoughtful approach and trust your discretion. You become a person of influence, not through forcing your opinions on others, but through creating space for wisdom to emerge naturally. Ignore this ancient wisdom, and you'll join the ranks of those who sabotage themselves every time they open their mouths. You'll be seen as insecure, desperate for attention, and lacking in wisdom no matter how much you actually know. People will avoid deep conversations with you because they know you'll dominate them with unnecessary words rather than creating space for meaningful exchange. Your relationships will suffer as others grow tired of your constant need to fill every silence with your voice, opinions, and commentary. You'll miss opportunities to truly influence others because you're too busy talking to listen for the moments when your words would actually matter. Your reputation will be built on quantity rather than quality, and people will learn to dismiss most of what you say because they know it's not carefully considered. Most tragically, you'll reveal your own foolishness with every excessive word, proving Solomon's wisdom true, that even a fool can appear wise through silence, but a wise person can appear foolish through too much talking. Choose your words like your life depends on them. If this ancient wisdom has opened your eyes to the power of strategic silence, and you're ready to transform how others perceive you. Comment silent strength below. Begin today by practicing the discipline of restraint. Count to 3 before responding in conversations, ask questions instead of making statements, and resist the urge to fill every pause with your voice. Notice how differently people treat you when you become a person of few but powerful words. Remember that Jesus often withdrew to quiet places, showing us that even the Son of God valued silence and solitude over constant speaking. Let your words be like rare gems, precious because they're carefully chosen and sparingly shared. Practice listening twice as much as you speak, and watch as people begin to see you as wise, mysterious, and worth their attention. The smart people throughout history have known this secret, and now you do too. Use it wisely and let your silence speak louder than your words ever could. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Psalm 141:3.